I'm Robert Anderson, a special agent for the FBI. One of the most challenging jobs I've held was running the counterespionage program. Since 9/11, the U.S. intelligence community has dramatically improved the processing, validating, and sharing of our intelligence. But this sharing brings challenges. One of the biggest are the people who we work with on a daily basis, our colleagues, who gain our trust, and then they betray it. You're about to see a drama based on real-life scenarios about such a betrayal. At the end of the film, you'll meet members of the intelligence community who have experienced firsthand the toll that an insider threat can exact on our country. Most importantly, review the section on espionage indicators to learn ways to combat this threat. In the last 3 years, we've broken all records for arrests, prosecutions, and convictions for espionage and espionage-related offenses. You know, the people we arrest, they're just like us. They have clearances, they've been vetted. It's up to us to do something about it. This is a rampant problem, and it's very real.
So, what's the chance you'll be wearing that outfit this morning when I see you?
Not good, but maybe tonight.
Okay, you got a deal.
CP, Alpha 1, subject departing, heading north on Oak.
CP Charlie 1, subject heading south on 3rd.
Hey, it's me. I'm gonna stop for coffee. Do you want anything?
Yes, my regular.
Grande.
Always.
You got it.
This is CP. Contact made. Meeting is planned.
Please remind everyone he's got a permit to carry, but we can't confirm he's armed.
CP Charlie 2, subject turning west onto water.
Hi.
Here.
Thank you.
That's gonna be the last one for a while.
Am I going to see you tonight?
Yeah, absolutely.
FBI, let me see your hand!
FBI, hands! Drop the cup! Drop the cup! Drop the cup! Drop the cup, ma'am! Drop the cup! behind your back.
Dangerous, too. Thank you.
Morning, Gil.
Sunshine.
I really hope this thing doesn't go too long. I gotta meet with my wife for lunch.
I'll inform the director.
Hey, guys. Anybody know what this is all about?
Did you find out?
Nope, but we got a seat for him when he gets here.
Good morning. The director will be making this statement to the press at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time today. He wanted me to alert you first. Yesterday, the FBI arrested Douglas R. Collins, who has been charged with committing espionage. Collins is a supervisory intelligence analyst of the FBI with a long career in counterintelligence. The complaint alleges that Collins conspired to and did commit espionage for a foreign power. He was arrested yesterday morning in the process of clandestinely providing numerous classified documents to Gita Sawinski, a naturalized United States citizen of Indian birth. The arrests of Mr. Collins and Ms. Sawinski are the culmination of several months of investigation by the Counterintelligence Division and the Washington Field Office.
Tom, you're gonna get your fingerprints all over
Fingerprints are already all over the place, Andy. It's gone.
What's that?
My stapler. He borrowed it yesterday.
I'll get you another one.
Thanks. Gail, you okay?
Yeah.
Well, it feels good to have our work recognized. Of course, the big winner in all this is the country. But I have to acknowledge and thank my wife, Karen, for putting up with me all the long hours, and you know how that works.
Keep going.
And I want to thank this incredible team that I'm part of, starting with Tom Young.
All right, Tom.
Our token knuckle dragger.
He needed somebody with some actual field experience. That's the only reason I'm here today.
And Andy Kashani. Brilliant nuclear physicist that had another career in front of him before 9/11. And being of Iranian descent, Andy knows firsthand the threats this country faces.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
And last, but certainly not least, Gail Stewart.
Gail.
Simply one of the best, most tenacious analysts in the Bureau.
Absolutely.
I am so honored to be part of this team. Not just because they make me look good, but because these people are helping to keep America safe.
Hey.
Hey, let's do it. Come on. No.
How about you want Gail between me and you?
Why don't you go right here,
Andy.
Here.
Oh yeah, you guys something though?
Maybe it was a mistake.
It's no mistake. I'm Special Agent McClane. This is Special Agent Kim. We're with WFO, and we'd like to talk to each of you.
Is now a good time?
Sure.
I see you spent 15 years chasing fugitives. You must have found it pretty dull sitting behind a desk here.
Until today.
Would you characterize your relationship with Collins as friendly?
Yes. We were friends. We socialized. We visited each other's homes. We got to know each other's families. Truth be told, we even drank alcohol together after work on occasion. That was before the wonderful bright line rule was in effect. I will be drinking tonight. You might want to make a note of that, Special Agent McClane.
So this took you completely by surprise.
Doug? A traitor? It's like seeing the Pope play shortstop for Satan's All-Stars. Are you sure?
Did you ever meet this woman?
No. I saw her picture once on one of those social networking sites. Doug said she was the sister of an old friend of his. They were in love. Beautiful young woman, vulnerable middle-aged man.
Why do you say vulnerable?
You know, typical midlife crisis stuff. He and Karen were having problems before he started seeing Gita.
He was seeing Miss Sawinski while he was still married?
He told you that?
Yes, we talked. I had gone through a nasty divorce myself. And so I gave him what advice I could and set him up with my lawyer. Doug knew it would get ugly with Karen, but he was pretty much blindsided by how badly his son Mike would take it.
Karen spends 5 days a week running me down. So by the time I get him on a weekend, he's so sullen and bitter, he spends all his time texting his friends. The only time I get with him is when we play one of his video games.
But he's a good kid. He's a teenager. He'll grow out of it. It took a toll on him.
Would you describe him as troubled?
Well, what guy going through a divorce isn't? I mean, first you think you're free, and then you discover that nothing is free. In fact, everything is more expensive because now you're paying for 2 households. And Doug was hard hit. Karen wasn't working back then, and that alimony that he was paying in the beginning, whew. Doug and I used to go to lunch together almost every day. And then he started brown bagging it for a couple of months.
Then things went back to normal?
Well, maybe a bit better than normal.
Hey, thanks a lot, buddy. Give me that thing. What are you doing with that?
I got this.
Hey, it's a little early in the season for you to start faking the holiday spirit.
Shut up. Times are good. Merry Christmas.
Well, thank you. I got New Year's. Now, John, did I tell you about that boat that I was gonna buy? I'm not gonna buy it.
How would you describe his attitude at work?
Well, he wasn't as happy as he used to be. He felt that the administration was ignoring our warnings on Iran, and that if we didn't act now, or let the Israelis do it, they'd get the bomb.
Did he ever share information that perhaps he shouldn't have with you?
Yeah. A couple of times.
You should see the NSA intercepts, the ones from the TANs. They are doubling their enrichment capacity every 6 months. They're gonna have a bomb by the end of the year.
Doug.
And we are not prepared to meet that threat.
I mean, he took everything so personally. He'd get so angry that he'd go into the vault just to make a point. But what I really couldn't believe was some of the stuff he would put on social network pages he had. Nothing classified, nothing specific, no names or anything. But I thought it was edgy enough to get him in some trouble. Doug. I even confronted him about it once. Hey, man, I was just at your face page. You gotta watch what you're saying on there.
Yeah, I know, I'm just letting off a little steam.
But what?
Well, it just occurred to me, the number of times he would change his screen as I would walk into his office.
And that didn't strike you as suspicious?
Well, you don't dime a guy out for changing his computer screen. I mean, geez, if you knew how many times I found myself doing the same thing that first year I was divorced, I must have spent 3 hours a day on Match.com.
You do know this is on the record?
What are you gonna do? Fire me? Good. Maybe I deserve it.
Yesterday, the FBI arrested Douglas R. Collins, who has been charged with committing...
How was it?
A freaking delight.
Are we playing the AD statement?
Great. Where's Andy?
In his cubicle.
Working?
Alleges that Collins conspired to and did commit espionage for a foreign power.
You're up, Mr. Spock.
First, I just want to say that I find this whole thing unbelievable. Doug's a true patriot. You wouldn't believe how many times we've sat around after work just talking about how America is the last bastion of freedom in the world, and the threat of radical Islam, particularly Iran.
You were born in Iran, right?
Yeah, we left when I was 2. My grandfather worked as a guard in Shah's palace. Well, we fled the country after the revolution. Doug and I talked about Iran a lot. Anytime I heard from relatives living over there, he always wanted an update. This wasn't just a job for him. He cared. Once, a political appointee wanted me to tone down some of my language in one of my reports. Doug stood by me 100%. I mean, if he was passing information to the Indians, it must have been because he thought that it would help contain Iran.
Perhaps, but the foreign policy of the U.S. can't be dictated out of a 5th floor office in this building.
No, of course not.
Did you see anything? Anything in retrospect that would make you suspicious that he was compromising this country to our enemies?
Well, yes. In retrospect, there were some signs. Here's a list of unusual incidents and behavior. The dates are approximate unless I've noted otherwise.
Thank you, Mr. Kashani. This will be very helpful.
I'm sure I'll find more.
I see you met Gita Sawinski. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. I met Gita on May 8th. I was taking my wife to a fancy restaurant in Georgetown to celebrate our 3rd wedding anniversary.
Are you sure we can afford this, Andy?
Well, I guess that's why God invented credit cards, right? Doug.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing, huh?
Andy, nice to see you.
Likewise. It's my wife, Melinda.
This is, Andy.
Doug seemed a little unnerved when he saw me. He introduced us, and he said that Gita was just a sister of an old college friend of his. Pawan Singh.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention Geeta's name back at the office just yet. Yeah. Gail and Karen are still talking, and if she finds out now that I'm dating, it could affect our settlement.
Right. My lips are sealed. Okay.
It's been kind of a rocky road, you know?
Yeah, totally. I see where you're coming from. I must say, though, man, she seems really nice.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, good job.
Anyway, thank you.
No, don't mention it.
And congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you very much. 3 years.
Yeah, it's great. Shall we?
Sure. It was nice to meet you. Nice meeting you.
See you later.
You believe that?
What's not to believe? I mean, we all knew about his divorce, and Gail was still talking to his wife. But that's not to say that there weren't some other things that bothered me, even at the time. Well, for starters, Geeta was just way too young and good looking for him. Family friends notwithstanding. And then there was the suit. I mean, here's a guy who talks about his money troubles to anybody who would listen. And a couple months later, he buys a new expensive suit. I actually noticed that he had a couple of new suits.
Is that okay? Yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay. Hey, nice suit, man. I like that.
Thank you.
But then again, wouldn't be the first time that an older guy tried to impress a hot new young girlfriend. I did check out Geeta on the internet. She seemed fine. Came here in '96, worked for an international bank, married Melvin Sywinski over at State. They divorced a couple years ago. She met Doug. I was actually more concerned about her brother, Pawan Singh. He was holding a high-ranking position at the Indian Department of Atomic Energy.
But you didn't report it to the security officer.
If Pawan was Syrian or Iranian, I probably would have. But India's not a hostile power.
That wasn't your call to make. You could have left an anonymous note with your security officer and prevented some of the damage that was done.
How much damage?
A lot of damage.
Let me just tell you what I know. I'm concerned about a highly classified report that I found on incubating animal orthopox viruses. It's produced by GYR Biotech. It's a private company working for a defense contractor. I have it all outlined there on page 3. On July 27th, Doug contacted me about obtaining that report.
Why you?
I had connections there. I used to be their security liaison.
Did he say why he needed it?
For an investigation, he didn't specify. I just assumed that it was a need-to-know basis, and I guess I didn't need to know. He kept them for about a week.
Andy, thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Then he gave them back to me. The technology cuts both ways, antidote or weaponry. I have to assume that the Indians have those plans.
I still can't believe he'd betray his country. But I did start seeing little things, like him working odd hours. Once I was here past midnight talking to some overseas embassies. As I was leaving, Doug was arriving. Doug?
Gail? Late night?
Early morning?
I can't stand sitting in that apartment alone. I'd rather be working.
I understand. Must be rough for you and Karen. Well, good night.
Good morning.
Of course, I'd heard he'd been having problems at home. But there was more. It seemed he'd change his computer screen every time I went into his office.
Yeah.
At first, I thought maybe he was working on something I wasn't allowed to know about, or maybe I was being excluded from something. But the thing I'm really beating myself up over, I thought I caught him photographing documents with his cell phone.
Hey, Doug. What are you doing?
Texting my attorney about the divorce papers. They're due today, except my thumbs are too fat to type it out. I know, busted. Cell phone's in the skiff.
I'll let it go this time.
Thanks.
Do you know what the documents contained?
No, I didn't look. I mean, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he was my supervisor, my friend.
When did Doug start to get involved with online gaming?
Right around the time he and Karen separated. Doug had installed World of Warcraft on his home computer. He said he wanted to play it with his teenage son, who was into it, as a way to connect with him. They'd been having issues. Anyway, he couldn't figure out how to work it, so he asked me to help him out, because he knew I was sort of a gamer geek. I went over and I set him up. Helped him create his online avatar. I even got him up to level 5. The funny thing is he never got any higher than that, and he was on a couple of times a week. I had him on my friends list, so I knew when he was on. If I sent him a message, he'd write back, but then he'd sign off. Something seemed weird, so I created a new character he didn't know so I could track him. A couple times a week, he'd sign on with a level 7 dwarf named Dagon or a level 4 druid named Hannah. Sometimes he'd be on with both of them. I thought maybe they were sources, but then I thought that it was just his son and someone else they were playing with. I even brought it up to Tom and Andy.
Well, I agree. He has been acting kind of strange, but do you really think he's up to something?
I think you've watched Mission Impossible one too many times. I mean, I love Doug, but he's just not that clever.
Look, what about the way he changes screens when you step into the room? Or this hot new girlfriend of his?
So that's what this is all about.
Screw you, Tom.
Hey, this is between him and Karen. It's none of our business.
Oh, come on, Tom. She's way too good looking for him. Do you think that you can get a girl like that?
I would if I could. More power to him.
I think I caught him photographing documents.
What?
He was holding his cell phone over them and pushing buttons, but he said he was just trying to text. We can't take the chance.
Hey, this is Doug we're talking about.
He's changed.
It's the divorce.
It's our responsibility to call the security officer.
No way.
It's all confidential. If there's nothing there, no one will ever know. It won't even show up in his file.
In law enforcement, you trust your partner.
Well, in intelligence, you err on the side of your country.
Are you saying I don't love my country?
Okay, let's just cool down.
Hey, Doug has always had my back. I'm not diming him out over some vague suspicions. I mean, you got a problem with some of the things that he's been doing? Great. Be upfront with him. We owe him that much at least.
But that's not the way we handle it in our world. And you know that.
Andy sided with Tom. Tom went over and talked to him and told him how things looked.
Letting the fox know when the hens are sleeping. This time we got lucky. Spooked Collins into making the drop that brought him down.
How did you learn about his trip to London?
It was at a baby shower of a mutual friend. Karen was there.
I can't get him to co-sign on his son's college loan, and he's behind on his child support. But he has the money to take his girlfriend to London.
He went to London?
Yeah, with his girlfriend.
He never mentioned it. Usually we know when someone in our unit has authorized foreign travel. So I went home and did some research. I found this picture of Doug and Geeta on her social network page.
I know that sign.
There was a sign from the London Underground right behind them. I had no way of knowing whether it was authorized or not, or if there was anything to my other suspicions.
Hey, Larry. It's Gail Stewart. I'm sorry for calling so late. I have something I need to talk to you about.
But you did the right thing. You contacted your security officer.
Yes, I did. I just wasn't sure anymore. But it wasn't up to me to figure out. I was just kind of thinking, hoping that there was nothing to it since I hadn't heard anything back.
And you wouldn't have, if he'd been innocent.
But he wasn't. I should have called sooner. Can you tell me what happened?
We don't have a complete picture yet, but it seems certain Collins was going through a midlife crisis, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the problems began when he started expressing those frustrations on the internet. Maybe if he'd kept his privacy settings higher, none of this would have happened. But instead, his messages made him the target of an old college friend, Pawan Singh, now a ranking official in the Indian Nuclear Agency, who was trolling the internet for prey. Their messages at first seemed innocent, catching up on each other's lives. But things quickly turned to Middle Eastern politics. Singh played on Collins' fear of Iran, and that was all the hook he needed.
He flew into the U.S. 18 months ago, supposedly to help his sister Gita Sawinski, who was going through a divorce.
She wasn't really his sister. He does have a sister named Gita, but she lives in India. This woman was an agent sent to the United States 10 years earlier. She married a mid-level guy over at the State Department, and we're also investigating what she could have learned there.
It was a merry reunion during which Singh elicited a promise from Collins to take care of his sister.
I think we should drink to Gita.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you.
As well as
Cheers.
her famous cricket-playing brother.
More importantly, they decide to confidentially share information about the Iranian threat.
The greatest threat to the Middle East and to the rest of the world are Iranian nuclear ambitions.
Of course, many in their government are waiting for the end of the world. And they'd be happy to light the fuse themselves. Doug, I think we have mutual benefit right here.
I think we should discuss this further.
So, you think we can exchange some information here?
Let's talk.
This is where he started down the slippery slope. Initially, it seemed he gave Pawan just general assessments, not sources. He needed a greater inducement.
And Gita was there to provide it.
Video games.
It's
You
the
never
same
do
old
anything.
story from you. I'm getting sick of it. 20 years of this crap.
Collins didn't stand a chance.
I'm gone. I'm out of here.
It was probably Gita's goal from the beginning to break up Collins' marriage, to put greater emotional and financial pressure on him. And when desperation set in, they had a solution.
Singh would help out by paying him for the information he'd already been providing for free. They met in London over the 4th of July weekend to discuss the situation. Singh promised to help with his financial problems, but in return, he would have to give them more specific information that they needed. Though illegal, Collins' initial actions were probably motivated by good intentions. But the moment he decided to trade his country's secrets for money, he irrevocably stepped into the dark side.
All right, Pavan. Take a picture.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, get close.
Now he's just a trader. Filling his shopping cart with items from Singh's tasking list, including private industry trade secret biotechnology information. The money flowed, and he was caught in the honey trap.
And anytime there was a problem, he'd reach out to Singh using a simple code. They'd use the word WOW on his status and face page. Shortly after that, their avatars would meet in World of Warcraft. The third avatar you saw joining them was Gita. They typed messages using the in-game chat. Funny thing is that he never suspected the information was going straight to Iran.
What? Wait a minute, I don't understand. What do the Iranians have to do with this?
This is your friend Pawan, with his Iranian handler, Colonel Ali Shaheen.
No, that's not possible.
Mr. Singh has been a double agent feeding information to Iran for nearly 10 years.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
He hated the Iranian government. He thought they were our greatest threat.
But it doesn't matter what he thought or knew. Once you release classified information, you have no control where it ends up.
He's done tremendous damage to our intelligence gathering organization in Iran. 3 scientists in their nuclear program who had been cooperating with us have disappeared since Collins started selling secrets to Pawan.
It'll probably take years to fully gauge the damage he's caused.
Gail? It was you, wasn't it? Thanks.
It's very, very strange to have somebody that you know be a Soviet spy.
You know someone for 20 years and you realize you don't know them at all.
We had learned that he accepted a position at Peking University. That kicked off the investigation.
I personally was devastated.
Devastated.
Gobsmacked. He had no right to mess up my mind like that.
Some of his best friends were his best sources, and I know I'm one of those in this case.
It's possible that any of my cases after Earl started working with the Russians were compromised. All the work I had done was for nothing.
When a friend of yours turns out to be one of the country's few international spies, that really wakes you up to the reality of counterintelligence measures.
He would always say something like, how's our friend Fidel today? Just kind of a generic question like that, where it's easy to pawn off. Or, he often expressed his so-called fascination with the island.
Dr. Meng had come to me with some very important personal needs about having his family together. To find out that, in fact, he was using that as a platform to steal was an extraordinary emotional blow.
Some people like nice cars. Some people put all their money into their house. Some people spend it on other things, on vacations or whatever. But what we saw in Rick after a while was that he was doing it all at the same time, which would place what he was doing as far beyond his annual income.
We had, for example, at least 2 instances where we had a broad-based collection effort with multiple agencies. That information flow ended so quickly, and so we explained it away at the time. But in retrospect, what we should have done was notified some of our counterintelligence analysts.
Between Rick Ames and Hansen, 10 people As far as we know, it could be more, paid with their lives. And the way they died is they got a bullet in the back of their heads in the cellars of the Lubyanka prison in Moscow.
There were programs that I worked on that the country had spent billions of dollars on. As my supervisor, he took it, said, "Boy, that's interesting. I think I'll just pass this on to the Soviets."
Just Google trade secret theft or economic espionage, and you'll be shocked at the number of cases that have occurred. The loss to U.S. companies in 2008 was over $1 trillion.
No matter how hard you worked, no matter how many hours you worked, no matter what you did to protect the information, it didn't matter. It was gone. I do feel that I lost 10+ years of hard work.
Some of his best friends were his best sources, and I know I'm one of those in this case. It's betrayal, basic betrayal, betrayal to the country, betrayal to myself for abusing our friendship.
I'm sure that nothing would surprise me anymore. I would never discount the possibility that anyone could be a spy.
I'm very hesitant to recommend people without question for a position of trust, because Bob Hansen listed me as one of his references at one point, and I said, well, I would recommend him without reservation.
When I think in terms of Montes today, there's a shadow where Ana Montes was in the memory. It wasn't so much that there wasn't a person there, it's just that the person that I thought I knew didn't exist.
And I didn't know how to let it go. I know there were reasons that he felt he had to do it, but I think that it just leaves me with a deep sadness.
If I had the chance to talk to him, would I ask him why he did it, or I don't even think I would want to have a conversation about how he could have done this to us.
Whenever I think about this, I think about Dante's Inferno. What is the worst sin at the bottom of Dante's Inferno? Treachery. It is those who betrayed a trust.
It's very, very hard to realize that you've been fooled that long by someone that you've come to know and trust.